This Congressman Ted Lieu is joining us. He's a Democrat who serves on both the Judiciary and the Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, I want to get to your committee's investigation in just a moment. But first, what strikes you about the scope of these special counsel warrants for Michael Cohen?
Thank you, Wolf, for your question. I'm a former prosecutor, and I'm very aware that the government can bring a vast array of resources to any investigation. And in this case, the investigators were very thorough. They were very meticulous. They made sure they dotted their I's, crossed their T's, and it was a very expansive scope. I'm not surprised that they did this for Michael Cohen. I also wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing for Roger Stone or people like Elliot Broidy, who was recently indicted as well.
What are the implications of this for President Trump?
If I was Donald Trump, I would be scared because they have information from Michael Cohen from very early on, months before his office was raided. They have emails. They were tracking his incoming, outgoing phone calls. And Michael Cohen was Donald Trump's fixer. And you also should remind the American people that, as you did earlier, Michael Cohen's going to prison because he did two felonies. One was hush money, illegal payments. Second, he inflated assets in order to secure loans. That's bank fraud. Well, with Donald Trump, it looks like he did exactly the same thing. Donald Trump wrote the checks for these hush money payments. And based on public reporting, Donald Trump inflated his assets to get loans from Deutsche Bank.
He also committed perjury, lying to Congress. That's a federal crime. As you know, he begins a 3-year sentence May 6th at a federal penitentiary in upstate New York. Do the redactions on these pages, and there are about 20 pages that are fully blacked out, do they indicate that the hush money payment scheme in this investigation is still ongoing?
Absolutely. That's the reason they're redacted, because you have ongoing investigations. And we know from documents provided by Michael Cohen that Donald Trump is directly implicated. We know from the Southern District of New York documents that Donald Trump is individual one. And if it was anybody but Donald Trump, I believe that person would have been indicted by now.
What new questions does all this raise, the new information we got today about Michael Cohen's lobbying for foreign entities?
We also know from these search warrants that about a month before the 2016 presidential elections, Michael Cohen had opened up accounts from which there were a vast number of payments that were from foreign sources. That looks deeply suspicious. So we'll see what happens. Investigators on the House Judiciary Committee might be looking at that issue as well, or other committees will look into that issue as well.
White House lawyers say they expect to have a chance to review the Mueller report before it's released to Congress. How do you respond to that?
I'm fine if the White House gets to see the report first. I just want to make sure that Congress and the American people get to see the entire report. First of all, the American taxpayers paid for this investigation. They deserve to have the report. And second, internal Department of Justice guidelines don't apply to Congress. So regardless of what the Department of Justice wants to do internally, from separation of power standpoint, Congress needs to get this entire report. We're a separate and co-equal branch of government, and we can't do our job and hold the White House accountable and do oversight if we don't have all the information.
Because the White House wants to see it, they suggest before you guys see it to maybe go through it and cite executive privilege and redact certain information that you won't be allowed to see. Is that okay?
That is not okay. I would be fine if the White House wants to get an advance copy and look at it, but they should not be allowed to redact or withhold any part of the report.
Well, what if they see executive privilege, that private conversations between the president and his staff, information that shouldn't be made public? Certainly you're okay with redacting sensitive classified information.
That is correct. Classified information should not be released to the public. However, it should be released to members of Congress, and we can go look at it in a classified setting.
Let's talk about another sensitive issue that's ongoing right now, Congressman. The White House has not responded to the request from your Judiciary Committee to submit documents in your overall investigation into potential abuse of power by President Trump. And Republican aides on your committee, they now say so far only 8 of the 81 people and entities on your list have actually handed over the documents requested. What does this say about the current state of your investigation?
The Republican aide is not quite correct. About a half hour earlier, we checked in with the House Judiciary Committee staff, the Democratic staff. About half of the people on the document list either have sent documents that we have received, they have already mailed those documents, or they will be sending the documents shortly. One reason we haven't gotten all the documents immediately is because many of them are sending them via regular mail. These are large amounts of documents. That takes time and also goes through security screening before it comes to our offices in the Capitol.
So what do you do with the other half? What about the other half who haven't responded?
Yeah. It is a process of negotiating. These 81 document requests were not form letters. They were very specific to specific individuals, to their unique case. And in some of these cases, we're happy to work with individuals if they want to do a partial document request, if they have privileges they want to assert, we're happy to work with them on those issues. But we do expect to get the overwhelming majority of documents that we have requested. And if we don't, then we're going to start looking at subpoenas.
So of the half who have responded, either already submitting documents or saying documents are on the way, how many have already completed the process and submitted all the requested documents?
I don't know what that exact number is. I do know we've gotten tens of thousands of pages of documents, and many more are en route. And this is an investigation that is just beginning. It's a process, but we will get the overwhelming majority of documents that we have requested.
The chairman of your committee, Jerry Nadler, says you've heard, as you correctly point out, from a large number of recipients who had already either handed over or promised to hand over these documents. Where does this move from here? What happens if some decide, you know what, they're not going to cooperate?
Then we will look at issuing subpoenas, and then we're going to have to go through the judiciary to get those documents. But the American people really should be asking, what are they hiding? What is the White House hiding where they don't want to provide these documents? We do believe we're going to get most of the information that we have requested.
All right, Congressman Ted Lieu of California, thanks as usual for joining us.